Now, people, it has become more and more evident every day that growing up in Jamaica, we've been tricked, we've been bamboozled, we've been brainwashed for a couple of decades. Because growing up, what we thought was good, what we thought was evil, what we thought was just, what we thought was unjust, what we thought looked like a typical criminal looked thievish, as them used to say. It is not scientific. What we've come to learn is that evil and wickedness does not have a distinctive look. Therefore, you could see somebody's face, but you have no idea what is in their hearts, the evil that man has inside of them. And the Joyland Melissa case proves everything that what we've learned or how we were brainwashed. It is definitely off. It is never or was never scientific. Because the truth and the fact is that growing up in a Jamaica anywhere, you would thought that when you see the uptown looking person, the prototypical picture, just picture Mr. Joyland 40 or 50 years ago as a little youth. If you introduce him to your mother or your father, she's probably going to accept him because she'll say, well, him no look thief, him look honest, him look like him have decency in him. Because that is what we were tricked or thought was the typical uptown look. What we've also come to realize is that in Jamaica, status, title, the who is who, wanting to be in the inner circle, wanting to be in the in crowd, is the downfall of many persons, including probably Mrs. Silvera and her family. Now, people, what we've come to realize also is that this man is definitely the worst hypocrite that we've seen in many years, maybe couple of decades. Because this man portrays himself to be holier than thou. If we remember a couple of years ago, there was an article in the newspaper in which politician Montague, they had used Bounty Killer and also Ninja Man to be some sorts of role model to get to the youth that were out there that were doing wrong because they were coming from that same direction. So therefore, he thought that it was a good idea. This man was chastised by Mr. Silvera for using those two individuals because he must say, them are dancehall artists, them have criminal background. He was trying to say that none of those two individuals fit the criteria to be any sorts of model or role model for any sorts of youths. Like I said, he was acting as if he was holier than thou. However, come to realize he is probably the worst of the worst. Because when we look at what he did, when we look at the circumstances surrounding the case, everything from A to Z, from the fact that the wife was found in the house, the fact that they claim it was natural cause, some sorts of aneurysm or something like that, some sorts of scientific term which I do not know what exactly it means. Only to realize after the autopsy came back officially, she was actually corned up at least 3 times, bullet fragments in the body. Come to realize it is his gun that was used. Come to realize a whole bunch of cover-up that went through that whole process. The amount of stuff that had to be done, the amount of persons that were a part of this conspiracy to cover up, from the popo, the crime scene homicide detective, from the doctor who pronounced or said that she died of natural causes, to finally getting the truths. When we saw the amount of sympathy that this man was getting on social media in a real life, all the condolences that persons were sending towards the family and him himself. And even worse, the fact that he had the audacity, the balls, or no source of shame to actually show up at these people's final send-off amongst their family, amongst his kids. Hold him kids, console him kids, knowing all along that he was responsible for their mother losing her life. And even worse, when we think about the speech And that is what this video is about, the actual speech that he gave at that lady's final send-off. Now people, I am not going to read that speech. However, what I can tell you, it was heartfelt. It seems as if it was written by some sorts of poets of the highest caliber. The words that he used, the emotions that it evoked, it would have been very great. It would have been one of the best speeches in all of mankind had it been not coming from him. Had he not been the type of character that is actually responsible for his wife losing her life. We can safely say that this man is guilty as sin. Even if it is a conspiracy, he was actually the mastermind. However, this is Jamaica, so therefore we can hope for the best, but expect the worst. Now, earlier in this video I said that status, title, want to be amongst the who is who, the inner circle, the in crowd, is the detriment of a lot of people in Jamaica. In the Paul case, in the Silvera case. Because when you look at this lady, and when we look at the facts that are not actually out there, this lady's family was on the same sorts of wealth as Mr. Silvera. This lady's family status was higher than even the Silveras before she became a Silvera. This lady was more educated than Mr. Silvera himself. This lady went to school in America. She was a chemical engineer by trade. Now people, when you talk about certain career paths, it takes special individual with special brain power. A lot of people can struggle to be a nurse. A lot of people can struggle to be an accountant. However, to get or even get accepted in any university to be some sort of chemical engineer, that means that your brain power must be up there in the stratosphere. So therefore, I say this to say that this lady did not actually need this person. However, I am going to show you the typical uptown mentality. Even though they have status, even though they have title, even though they have name recognition, they do not want to be affiliated with any sort of riffraff name. So therefore, title wants to be amongst title. Title wants to be in the in circle. Title wants to be amongst the person, the who is who in a society. So I say this to say that when you see somebody from the downtown caliber are not so financially well off, put up with being in a relationship with somebody because of monetary gains, because he can afford to pay her bills, he can afford to take care of her financially, he will take care of her kids, because sometimes that person feels as if they are stuck between a rock and a hard place. So therefore it is damned if they stay, damned if they go. They do not know where to turn. They feel as if their back is against the wall. Not to say that I am in agreement with staying in any sorts of ABUSIVE relationship. But me just say, what is the excuse? What was the excuse of Mrs. Silvera? Because based on the information that is out there, this man was a two-timer. This man had other relationship. This man used to clot up this lady. She was getting her regular BEATING. And the family knew about it. His friends knew about it. Everybody knew about it. And again, like I told you, this false pride that exists in Jamaica, especially amongst the uppity, uptown people and people. I am not saying that anything is wrong to come from uptown. Bless you. Glad you came from a family in which you could afford it. But just as say, this lady and the family had no sorts of reason other than that they too were bamboozled, brainwashed to feel as if you had to be in the in crowd. And even if the in crowd was doing you wrong, you are going to still stick and stay. And that is exactly what transpired. Because based on information that I am getting, This man was not as well off as we thought. This man was probably under all sorts of financial pressure. Yes, him a family member, notably a sister, that is well off. He was probably dependent on her. So therefore, this lady, being his wife that lost her life, she actually did not need him because she was gainfully employed. She was making her own money. However, people sometimes again, people have picnic and them feel as if them stuck between a rock and a hard place. But here's the harsh reality. If you have children, like me say, it is your responsibility to take care of them, mother and father. However, you do not or should not have to stay in any sorts of relationship because of kids. Yes, it is ideal if the mother and the father is there. The child lives in some sorts of functional home. However, when there's trouble in a paradise, meaning the mother is getting abused, these children are also going to see it. No matter how you try to hide it, it is going to be seen in her demeanor, meaning the wife, who is usually mostly the person that is getting kuff up. So therefore, when them see that these children can also grow up to be abusers or grow up to be in abused. So people may just say, don't make because you want the Jones and for sister, you have a wholesome total family. You are going to stick together. Don't make because this person have status, this person have money, you have your own money. You, I am assuming, being a chemical engineer, meaning the wife could have taken care of her family and bills and children without this man in them life. As a matter of fact, he was more of a hindrance, and people, he took it to the furthest extent. Whatever was stressing him, there was no sorts of justification for him doing to the wife that he actually did to the wife, or we think that he did to the wife. More than likely, possibilities are. So me just say this could have easily been avoided if a lot of persons would put down their false pride, stop thinking about title, stop thinking about what other persons are going to say, the Joneses, because at the end of the day, the most important thing in life is peace of mind, tranquility, no sorts of stress. Living your best life the best way that you know how to live your life. Do not be reliant on somebody else to make your life peaceful, make your life tranquil. Do what you have to do as it pertains to you and your kids and keep it moving. At the end of the day, the only status that is important is the status that you're living, the status that you're living a decent life. You cannot be caught up in what people think or people say, because a lot of times these people, they themselves are lost. So therefore the blind can never lead the blind. You have to live your life for what is best for you and your children. That is your priority, that is your obligation. Your children are always going to be your children. When you are married, the statistics are this: 50% of marriage end up in a failure. So therefore, your wife could be your ex-wife. Your husband could be your ex-husband. At the end of the day, do what gives you tranquility, gives you a sense of peace of mind. Do what makes you happy. Do not fool yourself whenever you see the red flags, whenever you see the signs. Then you know that it is time to bounce, exit stage left of this relationship, because statistics and the experts will tell you whenever you see a relationship starts getting abused, it usually only gets worse unless there is some sort of divine intervention from God, or unless you seek proper professional help, as in counseling. The people always get worser. People always end up losing their life or badly hurt. Do not wait until it gets to this point, and that is the problem with this relationship as it pertains to Mrs. Silvera. She was psychologically trapped in this relationship. She was sleeping with the enemy. She felt as if she was between a rock and a hard place, and she did not know how to get out because she was probably taking advice from family members or friends that were ill-advised, and she ended up learning the fatal way, point blank and period. So anyways, people, thanks once again for checking out my video. If you appreciate videos like these, please show your appreciation by liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing to my channel. That is how YouTube promotes videos like these to like-minded, sensible persons like yourself. And last but not least, please subscribe to my next channel. It is called Jamaica Dancehall Source. I'll be pinning the link to that channel in the description of this video. Bless up.